David Oyelowo, Ava DuVernay, star and director of
You
Selma.
can say writer-director.
I said writer-director, but
as well.
even though it says uncredited. Welcome to Addicted to Film. Of course, this is Travis Hopson. I'm Tim Gordon. I had
The last time I saw you guys, before you tell me the same question, first question, last time I saw you guys, I was watching you guys talking. You had just seen 5 minutes of the film at Urban World. You were trying to tell him how it was. He was making jokes through the whole thing. You were saying, nah, man, listen, I'm trying to tell you.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
You guys were going back and forth. I'm watching it like, this is fascinating. These brothers are very interesting together. Now I have you both.
You have us both here. And it's funny that you say that. Because he was, usually we are both very jokey when it comes to this stuff, right? So I'm still in that mode. He's actually being really serious.
In that video.
Right, in that moment, he was being really serious and trying to tell me how good this movie looked. He had only seen a few minutes. So, and you saw, I was like, okay, I let him go. You know, I let him go. He was serious about this movie. And I think for good reason. We've both seen it now, and I think it's a tremendous piece of work. And for me, I'm really interested in knowing kind of how things have changed, because you took over after a certain point, and was there anything in particular that you wanted to bring out in this story that was interesting to you about Martin Luther King?
Yeah, I mean, I think the change of perspective is really interesting to me, and necessary and vital and crucial. That when we're telling these stories, that they be told, as often from a black point of view as they are from any other point of view. And far too often, the stories where black people are at the center are left on the shelves. We're very rarely the center of our own story. Right. There's usually some very lovely white person helping us along, whether it be they're lovely, but I got this.
Always lovely.
We can do it. We're okay. And so just that shift, although it might seem slight, is tremendous. And so it was all about King. King was the center, and it was adorning him with the people of Selma. It was a reason why it's called Selma and not King, because although it's anchored to King, King as a leader without people is no leader at all. And so those were the kinds of things that we included, as well as, a very deep integration of his relationship with Coretta. I don't see how you could have any film about him without her. So that was key, and those were a couple of things that were important for me to include.
Ava, back in September, when I saw you guys at Urban World, you kind of released this footage for the first time and shocked us all.
The very first time anywhere.
This man, I remember sitting there watching, I think you were watching for the first time as well, David, and you got really emotional. Talk about that experience and how, as you're going through this journey right now, which will go on through the end of March, through the end of February, may I add. Talk about how this experience and what it has actually meant to you.
Well, what you caught on that day was the culmination of a 7-year journey for me. I read the first version of the script in 2007, had a very deep knowing, deep spiritual knowing that this was going to be part of my life. At some point I was going to play this man in this film. And there were several times along the way where that notion felt unrealistic. It felt like it wasn't going to happen. It was frustrating. There were so many obstacles that the journey towards getting this film made faced. And so literally to sit there on that night and to watch me in motion as Dr. King, because all I had seen was stills, really. And Ava is not a fan of having actors see the monitor while you're doing it, and I think rightly so. It slows down the process, and I think it makes you second guess yourself. And so, literally, it was the first time I saw myself audibly speaking as him, moving as him, and I was shocked. I was shocked that this thing now exists. I was shocked that it felt true, and it looked like me, but it kind of wasn't me. I'm still processing it. I've now seen the film a few times, and I'm still on the journey to accepting that this thing now exists.
knowing that you were going to be, knowing for so long that you were going to be taking on this role, because I remember when they first started talking about you for this, and it was years ago, and you were still kind of up and coming at that point. It was kind of a surprise that your name would come up for the role, but knowing that you were going to be taking this role on for so long, what kind of research did you do into it? Like, how did you get yourself mentally prepared? Because this is not your ordinary role. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of role that goes beyond film. It's important to a lot of people. How do you prepare yourself for that?
Well, when I say that my reaction to it when I first read it was a spiritual one, it felt like a divine calling. I felt God tell me that I was going to play this role. And, one of the things that fed into that were the opportunities I got in the meantime. I played a Unionist soldier in Lincoln, opposite Daniel Day-Lewis in 1865, 100 years before Selma happens historically. I played a fighter pilot in Red Tails. I played a preacher in The Help.
While you're talking about that, there's actually something I was going to ask you.
Oh,
because I saw you in another movie earlier this year called The Fall.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't know when that was shot. Right. But the guy you played in that movie, I remember when I wrote my review, I said, he's kind of like the flip side of a similar coin. Mm-hmm. Where Martin Luther King is fighting for equality, but he's also taking a nonviolent stance. Mm-hmm. This guy has similar goals, but he's obviously using
very different,
very aggressive methods.
Yeah, even in that film, someone under the guise of being a Somalian pirate, but what he's really questioning is America's use of media to skew the African story. Yet again, you can relegate people as monsters if you tell one side of the story. What was happening in that film is that you're not looking at the history of the fact that the West dumped all of its waste on the Somalian coast, killed all their fish, and took away their livelihood. So the only recourse they had was to feel like they had to steal from these tankers docked on their coast in order to survive. That's the real story. But all people want to show is, white people on boats being accosted by black people with guns. And so, that feeds into what I'm saying is that I've had this journey through cinema with, again, playing a preacher in The Help, and then a butler's son who was in the sit-in, the Freedom Rides, became a Black Panther, became a senator. These things all happened whilst I had stuck in my spirit the notion that I was going to play Dr. King at some point. So all of those things fed into playing Dr. King. I mean, the fact that myself and the very same actor, Coleman Domingo, are the ones who confront Lincoln in Lincoln. And I say the very words, when are we going to get the vote? And I'm sat in a jail 100 years later next to the same actor who's now playing Ralph Abernathy saying, tired, Ralph, you're tiring of this. 100 years later.
That's the first time he's done the voice in the whole press tour. And you got it on camera. People have been trying to goad him, like, how did you do the voice? No, involuntarily.
Dave, I wanted to talk to you about your journey. Now, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I have watched you from afar. I've supported and seen almost every movie you've done. And I was just, one of the things that we, as our critic community, have talked about is everybody was really anxious to see how you would take the step from your smaller movies that were a lot more intimate, I Will Follow, Middle of Nowhere. And then, to see you make this jump and to see you not only do it, but do it so successfully. Talk about that transition. And as you're doing it, social media is such a huge part. I feel like we were there while you were filming the movie because I'm looking online. You're showing shots and stuff at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Talk about that a little bit, Ava.
Well, it's cool because you're the first person I've talked to that I really know who's been through the whole journey with me. I knew you even when I was a publicist.
Right.
It was scary. It was scary. I felt as scared as I did the first on I Will Follow, when I thought people would, snicker at me from being a publicist trying to be a filmmaker for the first time. That was really scary. And then I gained confidence after I Will Follow, and then, I made a lot of things and just kept working. The product thing, the Venus thing for ESPN, Scandal, Middle did well. And so I was like, I can do this. People think I'm a filmmaker now. They know I want to make films. But the scary part was the jump to this kind of film, just failing. You know what I mean? Just fear of folks saying, she should stick with the small things, you know, because she can't really do this. It was too big. So I think that, if I'm really honest, and I don't think I've said that anywhere before, was something that early on was in my heart. And then just in general, whenever you do a film this big, you're taking $20 million of someone's money. You know, they're not going to let you get away with it if it doesn't work. You're going to end up in director's jail, somebody's director's jail. You can't make films anymore.